Today's episode is particularly exciting because we're diving into how to get started with AI implementation as a mature company. Whether you are a CEO or a developer who is curious about real valuable applications of AI within your platform, today's conversation will give you practical insights of how you can get started today. We are interviewing Atomic's very own developer who has been working with an established company in the education tech space. We're excited to have Tharani talk through her experience of helping large organizations figure out their AI strategy, validate a few ideas, and help them develop a roadmap for success. All right. Thanks, Tharani, for joining us today to talk through your experiences behind the build. So let's get started with a brief intro about yourself, of what you have been doing, and that will kind of get us to know you a little bit better, and then we can dive into the rest of the story.
Yeah. So thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited to be here to share my story and some insights about what I'm working with. So I'm in the tech industry for around 6 years, and I started as a backend developer and then moved towards full stack development. And in 23 September, I joined Atomic Build, and I really had a lot of chances to work around with different projects in different domains. And from the start of this year, we have started working with AI, and it's really exciting and super interesting to the clients as well as the project. Yeah, it's a bit about my background.
Awesome. So how did you get into tech in the first place?
Okay, so when I was a kid or when I was in school, I didn't have any plan to have a job in the tech industry, but I was very keen in chemistry, and my plan was to become a chemical engineer. And unfortunately, life had other plans. So I ended up selected into a really good university in an IT degree. So yeah, it's changed me a lot in my life too. And starting from that, I started love tech. Yeah.
Awesome. I find most people's careers, there's a group that has like a very strong plan from when they're in childhood and they kind of carry it all the way. And then the other 50% kind of find a pathway that fits their lifestyle and just kind of go with it. It gives you the
Yeah.
most interesting adventures, I think. Mine was
Yeah.
one very similar to that. So how did you transition into AI focused development, all of that stuff that you're working on now?
So when I was a kid, I have some interest in AI because one of my cousin brother was working in an AI industry, and I was inspired by him a lot by the work he did at that time. And also in my school days and also in the university, I have a habit of reading a lot of blog posts and articles related to AI. And also I wrote some Medium articles, especially on topic like Sophia about the humanoid robot
Hmm.
and about a digital twin, also neural network. So deep in my mind, I have this interest to work with AI. Unfortunately, we got the chance to work with the AI projects in Atomic Build. Yeah.
Was your pathway into building AI tech easy, relatively easy, or was it challenging when you got started?
It's not easy because instead of reading the AI related things, I started by doing. So we had a really interesting project at the start. So it's kind of an data extraction from the invoice. So it's the start of my AI journey. So with my coworker, we implemented this solution by using some AI technology. So from that onwards, I started learning the other things related to AI, like the new frameworks, the technologies related to AI and all. Trained my social medias like LinkedIn and Twitter to serve more AI content for me. So I built everything around me like AI things.
That's a very clever way to force yourself to kind of be exposed
Yeah.
to that area, right? So let's go into what your current project, exciting work that you're doing now. Before we go into it, I'll give a bit of a background based on what I understand, and then we can dive into the nitty-gritties of how you got to kind of get started. So you're working with like a mature mid-size a tech company that's been around for a while. They have very large data set, so they're ideal sort of company to actually leverage AI because of the wealth of information they have. And then they reached out to Atomic to support them with their AI exploration. So tell us a bit more. How did you get started when a company that big with a large platform comes out to you and asks these asked you to support them. How does one get started in that kind of a phase? Maybe get us from like the beginning, very beginning when you get exposed. Like, how did you get behind the build and understand how you build the knowledge and the tribal knowledge of that company itself? Because you need to know the foundation. You can't just go in and start throwing ideas in front of the team and go, yeah, let's go get building, because that's not enough context. You haven't had enough context. So how did you do
Yeah.
that?
So this company has a large feature-rich platform, and they have a lot of sensitive information related to people below 18. So we spend a few weeks, I can say few days, to deep dive into their system to explore their features and functionalities and what's going on. And then we moved into the AI. So we found some features that can really be improved by using the AI. So we didn't forcefully use the AI just for the sake of it, but we found some really interesting areas that can help that AI can help to improve those. So we found those kind of things, and we came up with around 15 ideas initially, and we had some discussions around those ideas.
Amazing. So you took several days to a few weeks understanding the product as a user on the front end level. So you're kind of going through the whole experience. And then also, I guess on the technical front as well, you're understanding how the data is set up, how the architecture is set up. So you have a good understanding of how everything works. So you build the tribal knowledge, you build the business sort of knowledge of where they're headed, where they're going, what are their pain points during the whole experience. And because you have fresh eyes too, because you're new to the platform compared to a company that's been building for years, let's say they're employees or staff that has been around for a long time, you have fresh eyes because you go in, you
Mhm.
understand, okay, this is where the gaps are because you're looking at how the entire product is working, brand new, completely new to this whole space. So you get ideas, you're exploring, you're understanding how this thing works, and then you start going and looking at, okay, where can you leverage AI to like add true value, not just surface level AI tech, like kind of wave of a wand and then kind of say that this is AI
Yeah.
implementation. You're looking at true value that you can drive because that needs to align with the business values as well. Awesome. So you came up with 15 ideas by going through this exercise. And then from there, what was some of the exercises that you did to kind of define, okay, out of these 15 ideas, like what's valuable, what's not? Are you aligning with the stakeholders, the leadership team, and kind of reviewing these things? What are you doing there?
Yeah, so for the 15 ideas, we just grabbed some summary of what the features would be, and we presented those ideas to the internal team of that specific company, and we narrowed down the ideas from 5 top ideas. So we had several discussions and meetings on what's the real value for the business as well as for the users by implementing those ideas, and also we prioritize the complexity and the usability of those ideas. So once we did that, and also we included several people from their team, from product and design, and from engineering, and from UI UX this team. So we included all kind of different people from that company to get the ideas of separate different people. And finally, we came up with 5 topmost ideas that stood up the list.
Okay, so you shopped around, shared the ideas with the entire
Yeah.
key leadership team members from different disciplines, and then got their feedback so that you now mature your ideas that you have kind of initiated. And then out of the 15 or 20 ideas, you've now selected 5 are the most valuable for the business. What happens next? What do you do after?
Okay. So after that one, we prioritize the ideas based on the complexity and also the implementation level, the ease of implementation. And we prepared the product requirement documents, a basic document with explaining what are the features and what's the technologies we'll be using and the scope of it and the success criteria, the success goals of each of that. So we prepared that one. So after that, we also prepared the proof of concept documents because for the proof of concept, we don't need to show everything that is included in those ideas. So just we prepared the document with some major features in each of the.
So out of the 5 that you have defined, you're now developing more sort of details to it. So this is like detailed requirements that you're building. Are you collaborating with the leadership team also as you're kind of figuring this out?
Yeah, because they are using a kind of software, so some limited software. So we collaborated with their internal team to get approval about the software because this is related to AI and also we are dealing with sensitive information. So we have to be more focused on what the information we are sending to AI and what's the output and input we are getting and we are sending to AI.
What sort of?
We,
Yes.
yeah, so we put a lot of guardrails and we always consider about the personal identifiable information, the PII. And also when selecting the technologies, we always care about the security of the data and how to safeguard the sensitivity of the data we are sending to AI. So we so we think about a lot of technologies and methods to safeguard the data as well.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
So part of that sort of documentation and exploration is like a lot goes into just the not just the scope of the work, but it's like the architecture, so the risks that are part of that implementation itself and how you're actually mitigating this and you're working with the team to make sure that they are aligned and the expectations are set in terms of what the outputs are going to look like. What goes into defining the proof of concept from there? So are you choosing a certain number of features only? What goes into the thought process of choosing those feature sets itself? Why do you choose those features in the first place?
Okay, so for each of the ideas, there is a prioritized goal, right? There's a goal. So we selected the features that can help us to attain that goal. So if you take an example, if you take the cost, something related to cost planner creation, so we are having a goal of extracting this number of courses from the provided course list. So we set a goal for each of the proof of concept and also, along with that, we tested the technologies or frameworks we'll be using for the actual system. So there are a lot of AI tools and technologies currently. So we read around a lot of blog posts and articles to find the suitable technologies for the system. And we also did a lot of tests by using separate LLM models and separate frameworks. And finally, we came to a solid foundation for each of the ideas.
So the proof of concept is really to iron out if your initial like hypothesis is right and is able to give the quality result that you want in the first place. So you're evaluating a lot of these things through the proof of concept to make sure that it does make sense before you go into a production build. That's really cool for proof of concept. How long does that have it happen? What goes into like doing that? Is multi-months project or is it like how do you do the proof of concept itself?
So most probably we narrow down the proof of concept estimation within 3 to 4 weeks
Okay.
because we only chose the top most prioritized features in each of the ideas. So we narrowed down for each of the features like 1 or 2 weeks based on the complexity of the feature. And also we provided the feedback or else we provided the results once every week so that we can get a really good output or response from their team and we re-implement the thing or like remodify the flow to achieve their expectations and all. So it's kind of a repetitive process. It consumed a bit of time, but we were able to came to a solution that can help us to make this idea in a solid background.
So from
Yeah.
what you're saying, it sounds like AI, you can't just take it off the shelf and then implement it and say you get the results.